And new tonight, we now know the identity of the Northwestern State student who was arrested in connection to the death of student and football player Ronnie Caldwell. Natchitoches police and agents with the Natchitoches Drug Task Force arrested 22-year-old Maurice Campbell II of Memphis last night for obstruction of justice, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, and possession of a firearm in the presence of a controlled dangerous substance. Campbell was a member of the Northwestern State football team and a teammate of Ronnie Caldwell. Last Thursday, Caldwell was shot and killed at the Quad apartment complex on University Parkway across the street from campus. And according to Northwestern State's athletic page, Campbell had appeared in 4 games for NSU this season, but has since been taken off the roster. Campbell was placed in the Natchitoches Parish Detention Center, and that investigation does continue. We received this statement from Northwestern State University about the arrest. It reads in part, "We understand that this news may be concerning and want to assure the public that we are actively monitoring the situation and cooperating with the authorities to determine any additional action that the university should take at this time. NSU is currently unable to comment on the ongoing investigation, but will update the university community as more information becomes available. It's important to remember that an arrest does not imply guilt, and we must respect the legal process and the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. We want to emphasize that the alleged actions of one individual do not reflect the values and principles of our institution. NSU is committed to providing a safe and inclusive environment for all and will take appropriate action based on the outcome of the legal process."